Meeting to order. Ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Steve Karayanen, Kay Wilson, Tweed Schuman,
Here.
Stacy Hessel, Randy Newman,
Here.
Mark Helwig is excused, Thomas Duffy, Marshall Savitsky,
Here.
Jim Evans, Chuck Van Etten, Jeff Haney, John Regheimer, Ron Kinsley,
Sure.
Ron Buckholz,
Present.
Dale Magnuson. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Next, rise for the pledge of allegiance. I, flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Number 4, certification and compliance with open meeting laws.
This meeting was noticed to the public and the news media as required by Section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. Number 5 is the meeting agenda. The agenda is set as is. Number 6 is public comment. We ask that you speak 3 minutes or less so we can get everybody through. We allow a half hour total. First person is Adam Bodenschein. Is that correct?
Bodenschatz.
Bodenschatz. Thank you.
Good evening, Adam Bodenschatz, 9825 Wood Creek Lane, Hayward, Wisconsin. I'm here to speak, I guess, for and against some things in the campground amendments. I think there's some misunderstandings of, in park models specifically, of what they actually are. We're defining park models from travel trailers, from fifth wheels, and so on and so forth, when in fact they're built to the same RV codes as any other travel trailer fifth wheel. They look different. That's about the only thing. We're trying to limit how many go into our campgrounds in our area, and as business owners in the industry, we don't think that that's very fair to limit such a thing. Kind of looking at it as in limiting a car dealership from selling 1-ton diesels or hybrids. I mean, where does it stop? I guess the idea is that we are providing a product in our industry and we're trying to keep up with trends in our industry, and it's going to be limited. They are very popular. They are temporary living quarters. They do fall under the RVIA code, just like I said, for any other industry. Not sure where the push is coming from for this limitation at 30%. It doesn't make any sense to me. And as far as the camping cabins, I'm happy to see that there's, I guess, progress in amending that, because those are also very popular. But I am for that, so I'm kind of opposed to part of it and for the other part, for the camping cabins. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Joan Savinka.
Hi, hi, thank you. Joan Sveka, 9970 Benson Road, Hayward. I wanted to speak in favor of something that is not on the agenda. It's about the groundwater monitoring. I think that's fabulous, and I hope that that project moves forward. And I'm sort of hesitantly against the agenda for the Apostle Islands. I think that the management of the Apostle Islands with Park Service is currently being fantastic, and the local community around the Apostle Islands does not want to see it changed. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan Etcherson. Steve Bodenschatz.
Steve Bodenschatz, 8555 M Deerfoot Road, Hayward. My son and I own campgrounds here at Cisco's Resort, and we bought the closed up old golf course, Hayward National. You're probably aware of that. We're turning that into an RV park. And we're a park model dealer. And I don't think you've gotten any input from anybody who's actually, feet in and financially in this industry. And it's called glamping today. And there's a whole segment of the society out there that's getting into glamping. They can't afford the $500,000, $800,000 lake home, But the park models that we sell are from $75,000 to $95,000. They're not cheap. They're very quality built. They're built to the same code as an Airstream or a Coachman travel trailer, only they look one heck of a lot better. And when this came up about 10 years ago, I didn't own a campground at the time, but I was with my campground owner friends at a zoning hearing. And I said, okay, we own Pinewood Village, the mobile home park. Are we going to be limited to 30% double wides because they look like too much like houses? Where's this push coming from? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's a limitation to our business. We have to have a buffer zone around our campgrounds. We have to have them staffed. We have to have them managed. We run like our private little communities, and these people are out and about in all of the stores and all of the restaurants in this whole area. The rippling effect of what we bring in, and they're affordable, and like I say, it's called glamping. And I would hope that you would vote no on this 30% situation today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Don Robinson?
Thank you for allowing me to speak. We've been through a request here to be able to put camper cabins on campsites. And we've been going through the zoning process for some time. Really, all we're asking for is just to be regulated in the same way that the counties around us are and according to state law. State law allows these type of camps or campers on campsites. So that's all we're asking, is just to be consistent with the rest of state law. I will add, however, that I am in favor of what Steve Bodenschatz said. I think that people need to study and look at this situation with park models. I have been in the camping business in this county for over 50 years, and I can tell you where that push comes from. And it's because people want to be able to make a reservation for a campsite at Thursday or Friday when they find out the weather is good, and you've got a campsite you haven't been able to rent. And so they've got something that's open because it's not occupied by a seasonal. I can tell you from 50 years of experience, that's where it starts. But I don't agree with it, and I think we've limited the prosperity of Sawyer County, particularly the southern part of Sawyer County, which could use some extra help. And I would like to see this county board address it.
Thank you. Ms. Linda Zomer?
Linda Zilmer, Edgewater property owner. And the last couple of weeks, there were meetings that some of you attended, and they partially dealt with issues on what you just heard about campgrounds in the Apostle Island National Park. Northwest Regional Planning Commission at their annual meeting did a report on outdoor recreation and tourism. And not only did they highlight the assets we have, but also the challenges. The wages and the jobs are not family supporting. There's a drain on housing stock. We don't have enough workers. We are at capacity. And that's what Bayfield County recognized, and that's why they are not in favor of the national park designation. Federal budgets cut funding to national parks. National parks right now are not being taken care of. I really don't think it's Sawyer County's business. I understand Northwest Regional Planning did not support the designation. And I know that at the last Towns Association unit meeting that town board members spoke against it, as well as Scott from Senator Johnson said he was neutral. So I don't think it's a resolution to put forward. And earlier today, I emailed you some information about the Option F camping cabin. And hopefully you had a handout of the exhibits I attached. The towns most affected with the most campgrounds and the most campsites were not in favor of Option F for a variety of reasons. The groundwater presentation that was made last week at the Land, Water, and Forest Committee meeting, I think this is a good example of why we need to have groundwater mapping. One of the main environmental concerns, it's a public health concerns with allowing full utilities to whether it's additional camping cabins, is that the state standards are based on 30 gallons per day effluent, and most surrounding states are 100 gallons per day. So there's a concern that once the change from camping cabins that are just shells at 300 feet go to 400 square feet to accommodate more people and have water and sewer, the pressure on septic systems is going to be too great and we risk contaminating groundwater. I also want to point out, if I can have the time, that the 2 tally sheets that were provided under option A, it really was 9 towns that denied. Town of Draper submitted the official resolution of disapproval. And I understand that on the option F, it basically was a tie. I heard Meteor had a 1-to-1 vote and the chairman was absent, and so that counts as a denial. So there was not support. And I also, in my written comments, said that it was interesting that nobody showed up at the option F hearing, and yet tonight you've heard from 3 campground owners. The public hearing is the opportunity, provided the public has enough information to know to show up, and that avoids us all having to come up here and speak tonight. So I do not believe that option F should go forward. I don't think the 30% limitation has been settled, and I also don't believe that this issue of groundwater contamination and shoreland density is supported. And I know that Edgewater, meeting that I attended, it was split. Campground owner did not want the limitation and the other supervisors did not want the slab. We're adding impervious surface, and there is no accommodation for considering whether that slab is just the footprint of the 400 or 300 foot cabin, if it includes the additional 240 square feet of what could be a deck, and then an impervious surface if there is a slab underneath the 100 square foot storage shed. So please do not pass it. It needs to come through the zoning committee with proper consideration and give people a chance at the public hearing and not here. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody online? Thank you. Number 7, at this time, we have the Sheriff's Department recognition. Sheriff from Rotec.
Mr. Chairman and fellow board members, it's an honor to be here tonight to present the following awards. I just want to take a minute and explain how our awards process works. Anyone can nominate a staff member or members of the public for an award by forwarding their nomination to our nominations committee. Our nominations committee consists of sheriff's office personnel from patrol, corrections, and dispatch. After the committee reviews the nomination, they forward their decision to the sheriff. The sheriff then decides based on the merits of the actions and the opinion of the committee. This process maintains consistency and for the awards and avoids personal feelings and opinions being involved in that decision. So at this time, I would ask that Deputy Matthias Holber come forward. You have been nominated for your impressive dedication and commitment for your time as evidence technician. It is noted that you have routinely displayed exceptional attention to detail and gone above and beyond the routine duties as evidence technician. It is acknowledged that you have conducted a much-needed update to the evidence storage area and have improved the efficiency of such. Your colleague evidence technician and previous evidence technicians have been outspoken for their beliefs that you have been nothing short of outstanding in this position. I agree with the Sawyer County Office Awards Committee that your dedication and commitment to your duties is deserving of this letter of excellence. What's that? I ask that Deputy Jordan Price come forward. Deputy Price has always been a very motivated and proactive deputy, but over the past year, you have shown extensive effort in locating and arresting those with warrants and those known to be involved in illegal drug activity in Sawyer County. You are reported to have the unique ability to also push fellow deputies to be very proactive during their shifts. Deputy Price, you have impressively high arrest rates resulting in felony charges, consistently higher than most in our office. Keep up the good work. I agree with the Sawyer County's Office Awards Committee that your actions are deserving of this letter of excellence. Congratulations. I ask that Sergeant Gillis come forward. Sergeant Gillis, on January 17th, 2025, you responded to a snowmobile crash on a lake near Pat's Landing. A male was driving his snowmobile across the lake, crashed, and severed his leg. It is noted that you were one of the first to arrive as a first responder on the scene and placed 2 tourniquets on the patient's leg to stop the bleeding. The paramedics on scene later said that they believe this action directly contributed to the patient surviving the incident. Your actions and the actions of the first responders definitely saved this patient's life. I agree with the unanimous recommendation from the Sawyer County Sheriff's Office Award Committee that your actions are deserving of this life-saving award. Congratulations. I asked Steve Murphy to come forward. On January 17th, 2025, you were riding a snowmobile with your friend. While traveling across the lake, your friend was involved in a crash, causing his leg to be completely severed. You ultimately used your makeshift or your belt as a makeshift tourniquet and placed it on the patient's leg to slow the bleeding down. It has been noted by the paramedic and other emergency personnel on scene that your actions definitely saved the life of your friend. I agree with the Sawyer County Nominations Award Committee, who voted unanimously to recommend you for the Community Service Award. I also am honored to say that the patient from this incident is with us tonight, Jamie Cook. Sergeant Casey Calhoun, Detective Mike Simpson, and Deputy Dennis Nelson, please come forward. It is noted that the nominations committee received nominations for your bravery and life-saving efforts on a call of a suicidal person. On that evening, the 3 of you responded to a call of a suicidal person that was cutting herself with a knife. Upon your entry into the residence, the female had several stab wounds to her body. Sergeant Culhane approached the female and repeatedly attempted to kick the knife out of the female's possession. Doing that, cuts were sustained to your boots, which could have easily been to your leg and or foot. Your exemplary efforts showed outstanding courage, as such attempts could have resulted in serious injury to yourself. After securing the female, all 3 deputies provided critical medical attention to the female until EMS personnel arrived. It is believed that not only the medical attention provided by these deputies, but the willingness to enter the residence directly contributed to saving the life of the female. I agree with the Sawyer County Sheriff's Office Awards Committee that the actions of Sergeant Culhane are deserving of a Medal of Bravery, and the actions of Detective Simpson and Deputy Nelson are deserving of a life-saving award. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Congratulations to all your workers. Number 8, consider approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, which was June 19th.
Make that motion. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Mr. Newman to approve the minutes as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's just wait a moment here. Number 9, zoning committee chair report. Mr. Buckles, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The zoning committee will hold its monthly public hearing tomorrow at 8:30. At last month's meeting, the committee heard 5 conditional use permits. 4 were approved and 1 was tabled. At tomorrow's meeting, the committee will also be reviewing the proposed solar facility moratorium ordinance. Legal counsel is still reviewing the proposed changes as it relates to the multi-dwelling development amendments in conjunction with the work that has been done with the ad hoc committee level. The zoning department remains extremely busy with land use permits. As of today's date, 310 land use permits have been issued this year. This is up 11 over the same time last year. Building activity remains high within our area. If there are no additional questions, I will turn it over to Jay for the proposed zoning ordinance and campground thing.
Good evening.
Evening.
Zoning committee was initially petitioned by the owners of the Lake Chippewa Campground to see if certain amendments and provisions of the camping cabins within licensed campgrounds could be changed. This process started back in January of this year. Zoning committee then tasked me to look into these elements, specifically as it relates to the prohibition of gas, water, and sewer within camping cabins. As part of this review process, several different versions or drafts were created. I specifically used state definitions included in ATCP 79, as at the time I was also working with the ad hoc committee, which was comprised of town board members, and they were specifically focusing on state definitions as it related to the multi-dwelling development aspects. This seemingly easy process did get a little muddy, however, as it was observed at the same time. This included 30% prohibition within park model limitations was never properly adopted at the county board level back in 2016. When this initial amendment proposal was sent out to the towns for review in April, we did not receive 50% town board approval, and the 30% limitation was not included on that version. A new version was then sent out to the towns in June, as referred to as option F. Option F did receive over 50% approval. The votes were 8 approving, 6 denying, 1 no response, and 1 additional from the town of Spider Lake, which we petitioned them, but they do not fall under county zoning jurisdiction. So we do have over 50% approval from the town boards on the proposed amendment that you have here tonight. Sawyer County Zoning Committee did hold the official public hearing back in June. That was motioned to approve to send to the county board as option F is a vote of 4-1. Option F is now in front of you. The changes as shown as part of option F would then have the state definitions as it relates to camping cabins. This would include an increase of 300 square feet as currently found into ordinance to 400 square feet. It would also increase the height to 16 feet as a max height, but would still have no lofts allowed. This would remove the prohibition of gas, water, and sewer within camping cabins. These camping cabins will still need to hook to code compliant sewer systems. Those code compliant sewer systems do have other state regulations as SPS as to how that wastewater is sized for the sewer systems. This would allow for slabs on camping cabins, but not foundations. The difference between a slab and foundation, and this is my personal research, is a slab is to be up to a 4-inch concrete slab. A foundation would be something as to include frost footings or frost wall protection. This would properly adopt the 30% limitation on combined camping cabins and park model units for the total permitted number of sites within a licensed campgrounds. And it would not allow slabs or foundations on park model units. Those elements are the changes that we're discussing here tonight. All these elements as part of the ordinance amendment process would only be allowed within licensed campgrounds. There was a lot of discussion the first time this went out to the towns. This is going to create a bunch of, trailer parks and people are going to be putting these on their private owned property. This is specifically related to DAGCAP approved licensed campgrounds that have also received conditional use permits from zoning committee. With that, I'd be happy to try to answer any questions. You heard from some of the public comments here this evening at the start of the meeting. A couple of the campground owners were against the 30% limitation. I guess I would kind of ask legal counsel if they were on board on what county board can do at this point. I'm not sure if you can amend or change the proposal that you have in front of you. If you send this back to zoning committee to rehash this out or relook at this 30%, that was already done. That was done for the last several months. We did not get approval from the towns when we did not include the 30% limitation. So again, it came back to zoning committee. They added the 30% limitation, went back to the towns, and we barely got 50% approval. I concur with their thoughts on why there should not be 30% limitations, why it was ever included in the 2016 process as part of an ad hoc committee that was formed. I couldn't tell you, but I can tell you that when it went through this committee, or went through zoning committee in a public hearing process, but when it came to county board, that 30% limitation was not on what the resolution was signed for. And as of right now, the 30% limitation is not in effect per the Sawyer County zoning ordinances.
Yes, she is.
I would like to have legal counsel add to that.
Rebecca, are you available?
I am. Good evening, everyone. To answer Jay's question with respect to what are the options for the county board, pursuant to 5969, you have the option to enact the ordinance as you have it in front of you. You may make amendments to it, or you may deny you may refuse to adopt the ordinance that is in front of you, or you may refer it back to the zoning committee with directions, essentially in terms of what you would like to see in that ordinance. So if there's different standards or different thresholds, different terms that you want to see in this ordinance, you can direct the zoning committee and the zoning administrator to prepare such a draft.
Mr. Regheimer.
Jay, where did the 30% limitation proposal, where'd that come from?
So as part of a 2016 ad hoc committee that was formed, that ad hoc committee had made a recommendation to zoning committee to include a 30% limitation. There was some language then, at least some dialogue as far as like minutes that I'd seen back in those 2016 era, where someone wanted an 80% limitation. It ultimately went to zoning committee. Again, an ad hoc makes a recommendation to the committee of jurisdiction, being zoning committee. Zoning committee then held an official public hearing and they put in a 30% limitation. The why or the how, I couldn't tell you. The reason behind it, I couldn't tell you. But when that proposal, that draft resolution then went to county board for ratification, that 30% limitation was not on there. County board then approved an ordinance without a 30% limitation. Right. I then discovered that as part of this amendment process we're working on tonight, and basically brought it to the attention of the county administrator at that point, which was Andy Alvarado, brought it to my zoning committee chair, Ron Buckholz, and said, we never properly adopted this 30% limitation. I don't know if it was inadvertently removed, but the current working ordinance, the current draft ordinance that we have, someone put it back in there. And I have a feeling it was our previous deputy zoning administrator who no longer works here. I don't want to badmouth someone, but right now we don't have a 30% limitation. Yeah, and I couldn't tell you the reason why they.
So an action here in support is put in the 30%.
Correct. And I should tell you that initially, when this draft version was being worked on at the zoning committee level, option A was the initial draft that went to the towns, which did not include a 30% limitation. That version that went to the towns did not get 50% approval. For those that are unfamiliar with the 50% approval route, that's a policy or practice that we've done, is that we canvass or we straw poll the towns to any type of ordinance amendment. That's not the official statute provisions. The official statute provisions would not need us to go to the towns for any type of approval process. They would actually need to file a resolution of disapproval for any enacted county ordinance.
Okay, thank
But
you.
we do that as a working practice with towns.
It's a courtesy. Yeah, okay.
Chairman, I have a question. Jay, are we amending this ordinance just for that 30% rule, or are there other changes?
No, there's other changes, right? So
Are they as controversial as this one?
yeah, some of them are. There are aspects where you had heard from public comment that, right now there's a prohibition on camping cabins, that they are not to include gas, water, or sewer. We are allowing gas, water, and sewer within camping cabins. There are concerns that if we do that, what do we do with the wastewater? I don't have personal concerns with that because DSPS regulates camping cabins for the wastewater usage as per gallon per day for sewer system sizing. There was also concerns with allowing slabs under camping cabins and to have a concrete platform, be it up to now 400 square feet. That's another change, 300 square feet to 400 square feet on camping cabins, that putting a slab underneath them would cause additional impervious surfaces, which could lead to additional runoff and stuff like that. The other change, like you stated, is now the 30% limitation, yes.
Just to reiterate, so you as the zoning administrator, your concerns are what? If any? I mean, you just said now that the water was not a concern, correct?
I do not have concerns with the wastewater. The wastewater is already regulated by DSPS. If DSPS has concern with the increase of wastewater on camping cabins, then DSPS should have been their ordinances, which
Right.
we are then agents of the state for sewer system sizing. So I do not have concerns with that. The slab aspect, I don't have concerns about, because if you have a camping cabin there, being a slab underneath isn't going to create additional impervious surfaces. It would be that if this camping cabin was to fall down, deteriorate, get removed, you still have a slab on the ground then. I would think that someone's going to be utilizing that slab for something. I don't think you're just going to have a bunch of slabs sitting out there. But the 30% limitation, that's something I care not to speak on because there is, I guess, a difference of opinions of those out there. Yeah, shoot, I think a site is a site.
But that's helpful. I mean, other than government overreach, there's not like oh my gosh, there's something that we're doing wrong. There must be a limit to save the county.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Hessen.
Is there a limitation that we put a percentage on anything else?
Then I can think of off the top of my head.
So this is unique to camp.
Impervious surfaces, sure. Impervious surfaces, there is a percentage. That is within a shoreline district, 1,000 feet from a lake, 300 feet of a river or stream. You can't have more than 15% impervious surfaces per your land area without doing additional mitigation practices. I'd assume most of the campgrounds that are on lake shores have a large tract of land, so they would never run afoul of their 15% impervious surface limitation.
So this is unique and directed just at the campgrounds.
It would be, yeah.
And why is that? I mean, it just seems like I don't know. That's where I wonder why that is. But also a question that I had is who would be regulating this? So you go out to every campground and say your 30% is up, or How is it regulated?
Yeah, we would have to do some monitoring. We'd have to look at the permitted total number of sites, which would have been set by a conditional use permit by zoning committee. Let's say you had 100 sites, you'd only be allowed 30 of those sites to be occupied by park models and combined camping cabins with this proposed ordinance amendment.
Sorry, I have one more. It just keeps coming to my head. Is this ADA? Like, so does this help? These camping cabins, do they help with ADA situations where people couldn't camp otherwise?
I would default to those that produce, manufacture, and/or install camping cabins within their campgrounds. I would think that a camping cabin would be way more ADA accessible than a park model that is up on a chassis and/or a camping equipment recreational vehicle, which is on wheels,
Right.
which, unless you have some type of ramp mechanism to get in there,
So if
those campers, they don't have wide enough doors for.
If we say we're limiting 30% of people that have handicaps, they can't go to, if these campgrounds are limited at 30%, they couldn't be 100% ADA accessible.
The valid point.
Okay.
Mr. Schuman, did you have something else?
Oh, I guess, so Jay, the zoning committee then passed this 4-1?
Yes. And the only reason why I was,
Knowing this 30% limitation,
yes.
right?
And the only reason it was 4-1, and Mr. Magnuson can speak to this, is Mr. Magnuson was not in favor of not allowing a slab under a park model unit.
And also the 30%. I was not in favor of the 30% and the slab because the slab provides convenience for the camper, for better access, for whether it's under the RV or the park model, or of course it has to be under a cabin. You have to have a slab for that. But I don't know what the difference between slab or blacktop, a 4-inch concrete slab provides convenience for the camper to park his RV on it. It makes sense. Most of the campgrounds have a slab for the RV, for them to park the RV on. So I'm against the 30%, and I think the campground should have the option to provide a slab for their customer to park their park model or their RV on. And it'd be the size of the RV, the 400 square feet, so it couldn't be any bigger than that. And like Jay said, it wouldn't run into any impervious surface problem because campgrounds have to have so much acreage in order to have a campsite. So that's where I sit at this, and I'd be willing to make a motion to approve this resolution.
We're not taking motions yet.
Okay, yep.
Thank you.
All right, yep.
Mr. Schuman.
Jay, you talked about a combined 30%, camping cabins and park models.
Yes.
So they each can be up to 30%?
No, the combined total of
Meaning
both camping
Park
cabins and
models,
park models
camping cabins can only be 30%
of your total permitted
of
sites.
your total.
Yep, that is how the ordinance is written as your amended version in front of you. And it should be mentioned, and I don't want to put words in Rebecca's mouth, but we had some discussion, and her legal analysis was because that 30% initially was not properly adopted, therefore it is not in effect. And those that have received a conditional use permit for the campground and are currently operating, they are at no 30%. And even if this 30% was adopted as of today, those that are in existence and have already received a conditional use permit for the campground would have no 30% limitation. This would be for only new conditional use permits for campground operations and to the extent expansion of campgrounds. Is that correct, Rebecca?
For the most part, a campground that received approval under a conditional use permit that the 30% was specifically referenced in such a way that it could be construed as a condition, I think may be subject to that 30%.
Sure.
If there was a question of a particular applicant and a particular conditional use permit, frankly, what we'd have to do is go back and look at the record and look at the conditions and determine whether that 30% was, a consideration in approving that conditional use permit. But generally, other than that point, Jay, you are correct.
Ms. Wilson.
I'd like to speak in favor of the 30% because historically, back to 2016, And in the committee conversations, there's been a concern for the transient camper. If these park models and the camping cabins, which are more profitable for the campground owner, there will no longer be any space for the transient camper to come in and camp with a tent or with a pull-in trailer or whatever, because it'll be full. If you go by Cisco's, the whole new campground is solid park models.
So Jay, I have a question. So now you're talking the camper cabins. Now you're talking the slab. Now that's permanent structure. Is that taxable? Because that's permanent structure sitting there.
They do require a land use permit, and I am not a town assessor to see if they could receive an assessed value. I did not look into that. But be it that they receive a land use permit, similar to even a shed within a campground, I do believe assessors are putting assessed values on sheds. So I don't see why they wouldn't on camping cabins, but I do not know that answer.
Do they collect room tax?
They should, and they should collect revenue as well. Sales tax.
Yes,
I was just going to call the vote.
just a minute.
I know, I would just get,
Mr. Kowalski, when we put the agenda together, I made an error. I didn't realize there was going to be action on letter B. So I did not list possible action. I thought we were just getting information. So my error. Can we bring it back next month so we can post it correctly so the public will be aware of that?
You're asking someone that doesn't know. I mean, that's a legal counsel aspect. I mean, those attachments were on there as part of a resolution, but yeah.
But I didn't.
It's not listed as a discussion action item. I guess I got a default to legal. I'm not sure about that.
No.
Yeah, and just
Right.
in looking at your agenda, the purpose of having an agenda is to notify the public of what your anticipated actions may be, or the items that you are going to be considering and whether that is sufficient notice. In looking at your agenda, you don't have the words discussion action, but you've got the reference to the amendment. You've got, as Jay indicated, you have the materials. You don't have a reference to just discussion. And so I think if the board is so inclined to take action, I think it's appropriate under the way the agenda reads.
Action, give us the legal advice.
Or, I mean, if that's not the desire of the board, you can table to a date certain, which would be your, or could be your board meeting next month. That is also certainly an option for the board.
Well, to be fair to the public, and it might not be fair to the board members in zoning, I just assume put this back on the agenda next month so we could list it with possible action. Is that acceptable to the board?
could we list it as definite action instead of possible?
No, we're gonna list it. as
Okay,
possible.
all right.
No,
My error, I apologize.
but we've got legal counsel saying that this board can act on this, and this committee made a discussion. I believe that we should act on it now because we went through all the stuff, we had the comments, and go for it.
I agree.
So I have a question also. So if we vote in favor, yes, that's putting the 30% limitation on. Okay.
Yeah, and you heard from legal, this board can make amendments to the proposal that's in front of you. You can accept the proposal as is. You can flat out deny the proposal and you can send it back to zoning committee with further direction. 4 options. Well, 5, you could also table.
Chairman, I got one more quick question for Jay. Why 30%? Why not 50% or something? Why did they pick 30%?
I looked through some of those minutes. I never saw the rhyme or the reason of the 30%. I don't know if that was pulled out of the ether. I talked to Phil Neese on this. He was part of that ad hoc committee, and he had indicated that they did do some research on the 30%, but I don't know what that research was. There was a method to the 30% madness, but I don't know why.
I guess in my opinion, the 30% is a little uncalled for. It's their property. I mean, if they want to make it seasonal, let them make it seasonal. If they want to have 40% weekly, I mean, that's my opinion.
Cecil.
I think Mr. Van Etten hasn't spoke yet.
Quick question. This is an amendment to an ordinance that we have. If this votes no, then we go back to the original ordinance and then people can have whatever they want on their own property.
The 30% limitation would not be in, so you'd be at basically 100%, but it would still prohibit gas, water, and sewer within camping cabins. Camping cabins would only have a 300 square foot max as opposed to the proposed 400 square foot max. I believe there's a height limitation currently in there of 12 feet. The proposal is to go to 16 feet. And this, again, this initially started with the Robinsons petitioning to the zoning committee to really just look at the allowance of gas, water, and sewer in camping cabins. Again, it did get muddy, and I do apologize for the process, the route that we're at here now today. But again, that was the initial proposal, was just to allow for gas, water, and sewer in camping cabins. But then once we opened this book, we discovered a little bit of a ball of worms, can of worms.
I make a motion to vote in favor of this amendment, but removing the 30%, so that there's not the 30%, but everything else stands as is.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion by Ms. Cecil, second by Mr. Carrion, to approve the motion as presented with the exception of removing the 30%. Not an exception, but to remove the 30%.
Mr. Chairman, is that 30% across the board, right? On both?
That's what is, I mean, no 30%. No 30%. No 30%. Let's stop inhibiting.
So 100%.
I think 30, I think we need to, if we're not regulating based on percentage for anything else, this case should not have the 30% in it.
Any other discussion?
Let's remember what the town said the first time around. 100% disapproval.
Everything else is there, though.
You have something else?
Yeah, listening to Ms. Hessel and removing the 30%. I mean, the zoning committee's been fighting tooth and nail to get a percentage in there. Now we get it in there. Now it comes to this board and they want to take it away. I mean, we gotta get on board here. We just can't keep kicking these back and forth.
It's not just our zoning committee, it's every planning and zoning committee for every township that voted against this.
Looking at the first bout that went out to the towns, this was in April. It was 6 approved with 100%, 9 denied. And part of those denials we got back is that the towns did want to see a 30% limitation. What was that? 6 were in favor of a proposal of no limitation. 9 were against. Out of those 9 that were against, it went back to zoning committee. Some of those responses we got back from towns is that it did want a 30% limitation, so we added it back in there, and now we got 8-6 with 1 absent or abstained, and 1 be it Town of Spider Lake, which I honestly don't count because this zoning ordinance would not affect them. They control their own zoning jurisdiction.
Putting a cap on this is telling somebody that owns a business what they can and can't do. There seems to be no valid reasoning behind the 30%. There's some talk that there was maybe some test on that, but we do not have that in front of us. I just think it's wrong that we'd be telling a business what they can and can't do with their capacity. Where does it stop? Can I call the question after that comment?
We have another board
Okay.
member who'd like to speak.
I guess in discussion before we vote, zoning committee wanted a percentage behind this, right? 4-1, they wanted that. What if we were to amend it to 50%? What percentage is the zoning committee looking at if it's not 30%? Because your zoning committee is some pretty elite people, and I appreciate them.
Jay, wasn't the 50% talked about at the zoning committee level?
It was, and we never decided on whether or not 50% should be in there or not. So when the initial option A went out, and option A again is with 100% camping cabins and park models, so no limitation on the percentage. Option A was approved by zoning committee 3-2 to send to the towns. Again, town responses came back. We did not get 50% approval from the towns. So zoning committee then voted on option F, which has the 30% limitation.
Okay,
So I guess, you have a motion and a second on the floor to remove the 30% across the board. I guess we have that motion and second. I guess we should do a vote on it, see where it goes, I guess.
Liz, can you read the motion back, please?
Motion to approve without the 30% limitation on camping cabins and park models.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I got one more question. So if by removing this 30%, are these campground owners okay with that? I mean, are we gonna hear more bickering that we took that off there, now we got this? I mean, I wanna hear, no, I'm talking to them people, Jay. Why not? It's,
We don't have those counties we do business with, no limitation in the state of Wisconsin.
I just wanted some answers, that's all.
I think to some campgrounds, it makes a great deal.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a motion and a second to approve and eliminating the 30%. We also have all the resolution paperwork was put in the packet, so it's all there, completed. There's just the one error on my part. I can accept that error. So we're gonna vote with all in favor of the motion.
Let's do a roll call vote.
Okay.
Okay, roll call vote. Steve Carrianen,
Yes.
Kay Wilson,
No.
Tweed Schuman,
No.
Stacy Hessel,
Yes.
Randy Newman,
Yes.
Tom Duffy, Marshall Savitsky,
No.
Jim Evans,
No.
Chuck Van Etten,
Yes.
Jeff Haney, John Righeimer,
Yes.
Ron Kinsley,
Yes.
Ron Buckholz,
No.
Dale Magnuson.
Yes.
8 yes, 6 no.
Motion carries. Thank you. Nice discussion, nice action. Thank you. Number 10, Public Works Committee report. For the Public Works, we have maintenance, and we have airport, and we have highway. The maintenance department has been working, they get calls and orders all the time to repair stuff. They give us numbers, how many they receive, and their big thing now is that they are working on the heating systems coming up, and they're building workstations for staff that ask for have staff done. Out at the airport, the runway was shut down in the month of May for resurfacing. It was done in a very quick time, much faster than we anticipated, and the runway was opened back up. Civil Air Patrol had their pancake breakfast out there, and they had a good turnout of about 400 to 500 people. So that made things look good. The highway department was crack sealing. They've been in the mowing operations of the highway, beside the highways, and the past storm, we had a lot of heavy winds and a lot of trees came down, but they were able to get them cleaned up right away. We have a new supervisor, Jesse Nichols, who took over the winter shop after the retirement of Steve Olson. And they also put together a road tour, which the road tour was done last Tuesday. Any questions? Letter B.
What was our contribution on the airport?
Pardon?
What was the county's contribution on the airport?
We haven't received the invoice yet, but it's budgeted for about 150,000.
Also, we have a hangar lease transfer. It's a transfer from the owner to their trust of their account, which needs action. Mr. Bennett.
Make a motion that we approve the lease transfer.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Bennett and second by Mr. Newman to approve the transfer. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 11, Public Safety Committee Report, Mr. Buckles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Public Safety Committee met on July 3rd. Circuit Court, there was no report from any of the judges. Clerk of Court Office, Ms. Kelsey updated us on new staff. Sheriff's Department patrol report reviewed by Lieutenant Rapinski, calls have decreased with 684 in June. There have been 134 crashes to date and 1 fatality at this time. A jail report was written and reviewed by Sheriff Morotek. There are 61 inmates incarcerated and 73% unemployment rate time of booking. Code enforcement specialist, Ms. Olson, updated as committee on dogs at large and the tourist rooming house enforcement. Dispatch management reports were provided by Director Rapinski, gave reports. Dispatch calls at upcoming cops and bobbers and National Night Out. A BRIC grant the department relied on to update that required hazardous mitigation. Plan was cut by the federal government. New funding source is needed. It will be on a future agenda item in August. There was a child support department had a written report. Emergency services, Mr. Premo, showing breakdown of runs of the community, reasons for a call, response times. He is adding, what was that, Pinnacle EMS conference in Phoenix in July. Medical examiner's report was provided to committee. There was 1 overdose death that's expected to be confirmed by toxology. And Criminal Justice Reporting Council, I'll leave that up to Mr. Margaret. That ends my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Number 12, Land, Water, and Forestry.
Land, Water, and Forest Resources Committee met on July 9th. We heard an application for Camba Kids Adventure Mountain Bike Camp, and we approved their application without negative vote. The Register of Deeds update was provided by Ms. Thompson. Land Records and County Surveyor Department report. Written reports were provided. Mr. DeVries introduced the new real property lister, Tristan Werkus, and briefed the committee on a meeting with the Novus Consortium. If 2 counties leave the consortium, the cost for the remaining counties will increase, and they're looking at other alternatives. As far as forestry goes, the county forestry report was provided by Mr. Peterson, who reported that there are 13 active timber sales in June, approximately $5 million in sold and uncut timber. Oak quilt restrictions come off July 15th, and 4 out of 5 ATV, UTV trail project contracts were awarded. The committee considered direct timber sale of tract number 38-21 to Roger Hoyt and accepted his offer of $36,105 on a motion by Mr. Newman, seconded by Mr. Magnuson, and the motion carried without negative vote. Then we heard from Mr. Matt Dahlman with the Nature Conservancy, Ron Gropp with the Wisconsin DNR, and Forrest Chabot with Aurora Sustainable Lands on a presentation or on a proposal for a grant to grant a conservation easement to the DNR on lands owned by Aurora in southern Sawyer County in the towns of Draper and Winter. The landowner, Aurora Sustainable Lands, and the DNR are seeking county support for their application for federal legacy funding, which favors cooperation between local units of government. Discussion followed and questions about timber management, carbon credits, the affiliation between Aurora and ANU, funding sources, access roads, public use, potential restrictions on town access to gravel, comprehensive plans, and the impact of a conservation easement. A lot of unanswered questions, and as a result of all that, we moved to table discussion and motion to table carried without negative vote. Motorized trail report from Mr. Davison reported the Alliance is mowing and brushing will begin after oak wilt restrictions are lifted July 15th. The Alliance is updating maps and concerned about confusing signage on LCO routes. New trail through private land will connect north and south trails on Highway 77 by Twin Lakes Road. Zoning and Conservation Department, Mr. Kozlowski stated that Conservation Specialist Natalie Erler has had aquatic plant training. Water levels are up from recent rain, and the Price Dam Gate needs repair, 50-50 split with the town of Winter. Nelson Lake Lenrit Boat Landing. Brett Danielson spoke to our committee about a proposed boat landing rehab project that requires leveling the road on county land at Nelson Lake. The town of Lenrit approved the project. It requires a shoreline alteration permit from zoning and a letter of concurrence from county forestry. Mr. Kozlowski and Mr. Peterson have no issues with the proposed project. It will also require a little work from the county highway department. Motion to approve the shoreline alteration permit on county-owned land for the Nelson Lake boat landing was made and carried without negative vote. Whitefish Lake property owner Pat Weir spoke to the committee on the history of the Whitefish Lake Big LCO water level, which was a foot higher for 50 to 70 years until 2021. He cited issues lake property owners are facing with low water levels and the negative effects such as erosion, poor water quality, impact to the wetlands and fishery, higher water temperatures, lower dissolved oxygen levels, and milfoil overgrowth. The whitefish fishery is one of 7 in Wisconsin. Riparian owners may have rights after 20 years of precedent. The Whitefish Lake Property Owners Association is asking the DNR and county to raise the gates at the Billy Boy Dam. The DNR has not yet set a date for public hearing. We also heard a groundwater mapping presentation from Amy Wiersma of the Wisconsin Geological and Natural History Survey, who gave a presentation on groundwater mapping with a 2-year proposal for Sawyer County that is timed to save money because it would run concurrently with LCO's groundwater mapping. And Sawyer County is already scheduled for surficial mapping so that it would not be an additional cost. The goal is to identify aquifers, runoff directions, soil permeability, and recharge rates, and the mapping can be used to manage wetlands, landfill sites, and protecting drinking water sources. The estimated cost over 2 years is Mr. Kozlowski would ask for funding as a CIP item in his department budget. Underwater parcel, Mr. Markran stated that he spoke with another county administrator on the underwater parcel on Nelson Lake that we discussed last month, and the recommendation was to do nothing. Motion to take no action and leave the underwater parcel carried without negative vote. Transfer sale of in-rem parcels. Mr. Lehner reported that 6 of the advertised parcels sold at or above asking price. The remaining 31 are now eligible to be relisted at reduced prices, which the committee reviewed in May. Motion to accept the 6 bids for parcels carried without negative vote, and motion to approve relisting the 31 parcels also carried without negative vote. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Nice job. Letter B, Nelson Lake Town Land Boat Landing, discussion, possible action. Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, I think Mr. Kurian laid it out pretty well. It's, Mr. Kozlowski, Mr. Peterson both agree with the project. It would also be done in conjunction with some highway department people helping out. Basically just regrading to make it easier to get in and out.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
The Nelson Lake Town Land Boat Landing.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Mr. Newman. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 13, Health and Human Services Board. Wilson.
The Health and Human Services Board met on July 8th. We started our meeting with a public hearing for discussion on the budget for 2026. Julia gave us an excellent presentation on what we needed to include in our budget and what we could expect. There was no public comments at that time about the budget. One thing that came up that I thought was really interesting, and Julia wrote a letter to Representative Green and Senator Quinn on this issue, that the daily rate for out-of-home placement was approved by the Joint Committee on Finance, the State Joint Committee on Finance, to increase from $1,268 a day to $2,500 a day in 25-26 and to $2,758 in 26-27. She wrote a letter of alarm because our county couldn't afford this type of rate increase. It went to the governor's desk and he vetoed it, and he brought down the daily rate to a little over $500. So I thought that was an excellent information for our budget. Let's see, then Aging and Disability Resource Center, Ms. Martin gave a verbal report on the staffing turnover in the department, and we're working hard to cover the roles and responsibilities for the community. There's going to be a Wine, Women, and Dementia event at LCO on July 31st. And the public is invited at no charge. There will be mocktails served at that event. For behavioral health, Ms. Carlson gave us a written report. Ms. Migren also reviewed the mobile crisis report, saying that there were 7 assessments completed in the month of May. The mental health expenses and costs by client reports were reviewed, and out-of-county placements continue to be an expensive concern for the county. In children and youth family services, there were 47 consumers active in community support programs. There were 14 court-ordered considerations. Out-of-home placements, there were 21 assessments. 51 out-of-home care were part of Sawyer County, and 9 were LCO placements with 25 ongoing cases of various people within the youth and family services. And economic support, there were 101,112 food share cases with benefits of 288,369, serving 1,923 recipients. The call center had 7,011 calls for food share, Badger Care renewals, and over 97% were timely processed. Ms. McCallum reported in public health that respiratory illnesses were at a minimum, but that a dangerous tick-borne illness called Powassan is in the region and has caused 3 deaths within the state at this time. The laboratory for water testing for Sawyer County was evaluated by DADCAP, and it retained its certification. We also got a request from the DNR for public comment on setting state PFAS levels in groundwater. And the link to this comment paperwork is available in the minutes that's provided for you, and it's encouraged that you respond to that to get some information to the DNR on PFAS. And then we talked about money again, and we were done. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Wilson? Hearing none. Number 14, Finance Committee Chair, Mr. Righeimer, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We met on July 10th. Our treasurer, Mr. Lehner, provided a written report on delinquent tax collections, sales of INREM parcels, and topics covered at the WTCA conference. Mr. Markren, for our Finance Department report, reviewed sales tax revenue for June, budget performance reports for June 25, and June CIP purchases. As far as department financial updates go, Mr. Markren reviewed the ambulance budget reports, reviewed the 24 financials, and assessed April 25 revenues and expenses for ambulance. 25 year-to-date revenues are at 59% of budget, expenses are at 53%. On the EMS MC report, Mr. Markren reviewed the EMS MC report from May 25, and accounts receivable is 45%. Mr. Markren reviewed the energy management budget reports, the 24 financials, and assessed April 25 revenues and expenses for emergency management. 25 year-to-date revenues are at 0% of budget, expenses are at 42%. Medical examiner report, Mr. Markren reviewed the 24 financials and assessed April 25 revenues and expenses for the medical examiner. 25 year-to-date revenues are at 49% of budget, and expenses are at 23%. Mr. Markren also reviewed the investment reviews. The May investment report was provided. Interest rates are holding above 4%. A PMA CD will mature in August and be reinvested. We also discussed public safety radio networking finance, resolution 2025, resolution awarding the sale of $2.8 million to general obligation promissory notes series approved for forwarding to the county board on county board. The motion carried without a negative vote. Another resolution to establish the Sawyer County Condemnation Commission for forwarding to the county board was approved. And again, motion carried without a negative vote. For correspondence and reports and conferences and meetings, Mr. Kinsley reported that the Highway Commissioner, John Pino, came in $200 under budget on a $1.2 million project that was just completed. Future agenda items will be the PMA CD. And that ends my report.
Thank you. Letter B, resolution awarding the sales of go ahead, Mr. Markren.
All right. This is the third and final resolution for this project. We approved the project at the April board meeting, the $2.825 million project to upgrade our communication system for emergency services. That was in April. In the June meeting, we approved the financing, the issuance of bonds for in the amount of $2.825 million. And now tonight we're looking at the bid results, which we got hot off the press late this afternoon. So the first thing you're going to see in your packet is just that draft resolution that we had finance look at. Next, if you can pull up the sales summary, Alex. This was prepared by PMA, just a synopsis of what happened today. If you want to click through to the third slide, actually. So we had 5 bidders on this. This was at the recommendation of PMA, and after clarifying questions with them, we issued this or offered it as a non-rated issue. The reason for doing that is it saved $16,000 in issuance costs. I did not have to do a Moody's ratings call. There was no effect on the interest. There's no effect on future issues. The recommendation was because this was a small issue, tax exempt, we didn't really need the rating, and that did prove to be true. So we received these 5 bids. The true interest cost, when calculating everything out, came in at 3.813, which was a very good result. PMA had been projecting a rate of 4.5, which I knew would be a little high. The blended rate ended coming in at 4.25, but then because this is a tax exempt bond issue, note issue, people are willing to pay a premium. We did receive a premium of about $200,000. So that really knocks down what the effectual interest rate is because you're getting all that savings off the top. So if you want to hit the next slide.
Just a minute. You have a question, Ms. Wilson?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, good, thank you.
Here is the repayment schedule laid out here. And again, you can see what the true interest cost is then at the bottom. The first payment looks like it's much higher than future years. That's because we got the $200,000 premium, then we had to pay the issuance costs that we did have to pay anyhow, and that brought that down to about $133,000. So then that net premium will offset this payment. So we don't have to levy for that. That money will be in our account, and we'll use it to apply against that first payment to bring it down more towards the remaining payments there as well. You can keep moving forward. This is our overall debt issuance schedule right here, and it just shows what the new one, how that will impact the existing. One thing I want to point out, and this falls in line with what I had mentioned when we first brought this project forward, the tax levy increase is 5 cents per 100,000 per thousand. So not a huge impact. On a $300,000 home would be about a $15 tax increase for this upgrade. And then that actually goes down over time. Any questions there? Keep going, please, Alex.
Mr. Marker and I have a question.
Sure.
Is this 2.8 million then going to get us everything we need for better communications, such as towers and equipment and?
Yep, the bid came in at, I believe, 2.642 million. This gives us a little contingency. We won't see the 2.825 because closing costs will come out of that, but it'll be about 2.65, 2.7. So we should have enough.
And all these other departments are happy with that? Sheriff's Department, EMS, fire, they like this solution?
They've spearheaded the project, yep.
Other questions. So did we get the tower secured that we need for this project or no?
There are 2 in question. One is in Draper. I believe that's on the zoning agenda tomorrow. We're actually putting it on county forest land. Greg Peterson has done the work to pull it out of forest land. There's a stipulation if it's for the greater good of the community, we can do that from forest crop, and communication that saves people's lives is deemed as a appropriate use of that. The other one is the one that's on LCO, and that I checked in on today. We do not have confirmation of that. All right, then if you want to move down to the actual resolution, the next little tab there. So this is the first one we skipped over. This is now filled out for the most part. Some of the stuff won't be finalized until August 7th, but most of it is filled in. If you want to go down to page 33 of this particular section, this just gives a little more information on how the bid actually went. Oops. So there's the par amount and then the purchase price, which is net of those, the premium and the fees. So as you can see, that is about 133,000 over the par amount. And then again, the true interest cost. There's the net interest cost then after deducting the premium was 600,000 over 10 years. So on 2.825, that's actually pretty good in this situation. And then if you want to skip down 2 more slides, there's another detail section. This one right here. This again shows the premium of 200,000, backing off the underwriter's discount and the bond insurance premium paid by underwriter to arrive at the final bid amount. So any questions on the process, the results?
Mr. Ricker.
I make a motion to approve the resolution awarding the sale of $2,825,000 general obligation promissory notes, Series 2025.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Ricker, second by Mr. Haney to approve. Any discussion? Yeah, it's late on. Yeah, I can see that.
I had a quick question. So Mike, what happens if LCO don't jump on board on this? We spend $2.8 million and we have the one tower that we need.
Well, we'll have to find a secondary site.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Aye.
This should be a roll call vote.
Yes, this should be a roll call vote, please.
I knew that. Roll call vote, please. Mr. Van Etten, hello me when he's gonna press the button anything.
Well, it's in their minutes. That's how we know. It's not because we know so much. Okay, Steve Carrienan,
Yes.
Kay Wilson,
Yes.
Tweet Schuman,
Yeah.
Stacy Hessel,
Yes.
Randy Newman,
Yes.
Thomas Duffy, Marshall Savitsky,
Yes.
Jim Evans,
Yes.
Chuck Van Etten,
Yes.
Jeff Haney, John Righeimer,
Yes.
Ron Kinsley,
Yes,
Ron Buckholz,
Yes.
Dale Magnuson. Motion carried.
thank you. Letter C, debt repayment schedule, you kind of covered that.
I did, yep.
And letter D, resolution to establish the compensation. Oh, that's different. Okay, you want to talk about that?
I will, please. This is a resolution to establish a pay rate for a condemnation commission for Sawyer County. This came about because the judges requested it. It is a state statute that we have one. In doing research, we could not find when the last one was. Looked like it was possibly 2016. So that's why there's the whole resolution to establish it and set the pay. So it is a state statute that we have to have this, 32.08, to establish this commission. What it is for is if there is ever need arises for property, what's the word I'm looking for? Eminent domain. If the county ever had to do that and someone disputed what the county paid, then it would go to this commission. The commission is comprised of 6 people, different walks of life. There can be no more than 3 attorneys on it. It's the only real stipulation on who's on it.
And the rate of pay was?
Yeah.
50 for a 4-hour meeting and then $15 for every hour after that.
Thank you. You have a comment?
No, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution establishing the Sawyer County Condemnation Commission.
Second.
Second? Thank you. Motion by Mr. Schuman, second by Mr. Evans to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 15, Economic Development Extension, Mr. Righeimer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Economic Development Committee met on July 7th. Hayward Lakes Visitors Convention Bureau report, Ms. Simons reported on the release of the State 24 Economic Impact Report, which shows Sawyer County having record-breaking tourism numbers for the 4th consecutive year. The June Google campaign shows areas of interest in fishing and camping. June saw a 30% increase in Facebook traffic and 59% increase on Instagram. The Fred Thomas Resort in Birchwood is celebrating its 100-year anniversary this Saturday with an open house. University of Wisconsin Extension Department report, Ms. Bellatrus updated the committee on the strategic planning and stated that the FoodWise program funding has been cut. Northwest Regional Planning Committee report, Jim Miller was a guest speaker, reviewed the highlights from a 453-page tourism marketing study that shows increasing Sawyer County tourism. Priorities to make this sustainable include looking ahead for traffic, parking, signage, sanitation/environmental impact, cellular phone service, EMS and emergency personnel, and addressing the housing shortage. Attracting young people to live and work in Sawyer County is a key priority. Jason Lawman of the Northwest Regional Planning Committee also discussed destination management as an approach to future planning. Apostle Island National Park designation. It previously discussed resolution supporting the designation of Apostle Islands as a national park for consideration by the Board County was approved unanimously. The Sawyer County and LCO Economic Development Report, Mr. Lamero updated the committee on conversations with the Quick Trip, the old Quick Trip, to sell the 1.2 million parcel, consultations with Custom One housing developers, final edits to the Live, Work, and Play in Sawyer County marketing video, business promotional videos that the EDC made for Three Fly Sisters, The Lot, and Empire Lighting, hosting cybersecurity businesses seminars to avoid fraud, and stated that the hub zone is for all of Sawyer County. The Sawyer County LCO EDC MOU with the county is signed. Library updates for winter. The circulation reports were presented. Many visitors are using the library as a place to meet and use the Wi-Fi. Ms. Nucky updated the committee on summer programs at the Winter Library and fundraising efforts by Friends of the Library to offset rising costs without asking for an increase in the county budget. For the Sherman Weiss Library, the circulation reports were provided. Ms. Larson updated the committee on summer programs, rising costs, building repair issues, and fundraising efforts. Many visitors and local groups use the library for meetings and a place to work. Statistical analysis shows the library brings an estimated value of $2 million to county residents. And that ends my report.
Thank you. Letter B, resolution designated to Apostle Islands as a national park. Comments?
This was brought to us and we did a resolution that did go through economic development to make the Apostle Islands a designated national park. I do want to point out that Bayfield County did put a resolution forth in opposition of this, feeling they didn't have the infrastructure to handle the influx of people that would result from a national park designation. So I just feel obligated to state that. That's really all I've got on it.
Also, I will share that Northwest Regional Planning is in Spooner. I'm a member of that. There's 10 surrounding counties. At the last meeting, we had this on the agenda also, and we decided not to take new action respectively from Bayfield County because they claim that they don't have the housing, they don't have the workforce to take care of it. What's your wishes?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as stated.
Motion by Mr. Righeimer, second by Mr. Duffy to approve as presented. Discussion. Yes.
Yeah, I just like to say that, throw back to something we talked about earlier. When you poll the towns, this is a resolution. This has no binding authority on our part. We're viewing, the Economic Committee decided unanimously that we are voicing our opinion that making that a national park puts eyes on this whole region, which would benefit us. This is our opinion. They're going to do what they want to do or how it's ever going to be, but this is us voicing our opinion that it would be good for our county and economic development.
Thank you. Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Thank you. Number 16, County Administrator Report. Mr. Markram.
Well, I want to begin by again expressing my gratitude for confirming me last month as a new administrator. I'm humbled and loving the job. Lots of stuff going on, and I'll go through, highlight a few things here. I am calling my first, or have called my first department head meeting for next Tuesday, so I'm excited about that. I'm gonna get some feedback on what the department head would like to see as far as some professional development and some other things that we're looking at, and I'm just excited for that. Economic development, I went to that Northwest Regional Planning Annual Meeting as well, heard some great presentations from on tourism, first of all, from the Planning Commission, and also from Northwood Technical College from John Will. I've known him for a long time. It's always great to hear from him. And then there's a really interesting one on Copper Peak Ski Jumping Facility, which is up in the UP. And as Mr. Regheimer mentioned, the economic impact of things going on in our area, they did kind of concentric circles of the impact of that, which is in the UP, and it would reach way down here and beyond because people would be coming from all over the world to see events there. So that was really interesting. On the finance side, budgets are due at the end of the month and CIP requests. And it's always a fun time of year for me. It's challenging, but it's like a big puzzle trying to get everything to fit and maximize revenues to fund all the things we need funded. So I do like it a lot. It's a fun time for me. Strategic planning, I've met with the Riga Gregorian a couple times, and also we brought in Carl Green for the last meeting. Does a little bit more on kind of the community outreach side, which would be a definite option for us to do, is get a little more input from a greater group than the board. Not that you don't all hear from your people in your constituency, but just some key stakeholders input would be probably something that would be nice to get. I've talked with Ariga about bringing this to each committee meeting. She won't be here in August. She'll be here in September. So I'm trying to see if she would be okay with me doing the committees in August, then gathering that information for September full board meeting on the direction to go and really get moving on this. And then airport, that's been talked about a little bit. The grooving, they had to come back and do grooving and painting. Grooving is scheduled to be finished in about 2 hours tonight. So they started that Saturday. They had budgeted for the whole week. Looks like they're going to finish a couple days early, which is great. The Veterans Tribute Center, I've been working with SEH to get that environmental impact study done that I had recommended at the last meeting, and just waiting to hear back on a schedule for that. But that's in the works, which will keep that moving. The contracts for service was mentioned. We've received a couple of them back. I kind of would like to have a stipulation for the 26 budget that those be returned before we commit funding to these outside organizations, just as a good faith to say that, yeah, we're going to partner with you and do the things we say we're going to do. Connections, I've got a few things coming up. I'm meeting with Ann Tochterman, the new CEO of North Lakes Community Clinic, on Monday, actually, of next week, and getting a little tour of their facility. So I'm excited for that, to see what they do, and if there's anything that supplements what we do or we supplement them, be good to work together. Met with Mindy Simon regarding the Hayward Lakes and some things that we could work together on there. And then a really fun one was Saturday, Josh Shulman, who's the executive administrator for Washington County, he was in Rice Lake, and he texted me and said, hey, I'll come up to Hayward and have breakfast with you. So I was able to do that on Saturday, which was fun. He was kind of did a roundabout way to the Spooner Rodeo Parade, but it was good to sit down with him. He's also thrown his name in to run for governor. So he's a good guy to know about us up here. So that was good. I enjoyed that. He's a really, really great guy. And I guess that's about all I've got. Any questions?
Do we need to set a motion for the service contracts for him, for these agencies for funding?
That'll come forward as things go along.
Yeah.
It'll be part of the budget. Mr. Duffy.
The Lumberjack Festival is running today and tomorrow, and great for Hayward. So if you get a chance, stop out there.
Anybody else have anything? Letter B, Administrative Committee report. Administrative Committee met and we listened to the county clerk and the county veterans center and IT and Health and Human Services and the Sawyer County Housing Authority appointments. And then we'd also listen to Mr. Mark Renn. He gives us an updated report. What stood out to me this month was our county clerk is always kind of looking out for the towns a little bit. And the village of Coudray presently does not have a village clerk. And they had a chance that they were going to be missing out on some funds. But our clerk worked with the state of Wisconsin to able to do some paperwork for the village of Coudray, and it saved them $11,000, which I think is outstanding. I hear so many times how the county and the towns don't get along, but here's one example of how well the county is trying to get along, and she stepped forward to do that. Thank you, Liz. The Veterans Center is always working and telling us how many phone calls they get and how many disabled claims they file and the dollar amount that they get for our veterans. Health and Human Services report was, they're always telling us the new hires, the people that they've released from work. And right now we're in the process of labor negotiations with the Sheriff's Department again to try to get a contract settled with them, which will be ongoing for a little while. Sawyer County Housing Authority appointment is the letter D for us, so we'll take care of it there. And we had the county administrator report. Anybody have any questions? And we'll move to letter C, CJCC committee report. Mr. Marker.
I have no update there. I did inquire on the MOU there and that has not been signed yet either.
Thank you. Letter D, appointment of Mike Stamp, Sawyer County Housing Authority Board Commissioner. This is a renewal position that he's been filled and he's willing to work again on the Housing Authority. Ms. Hessel.
I make a motion to approve Mike Stamp as the Sawyer County Housing Commission Board.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Hessel, second by Mr. Duffy to approve the appointment of Mike Stamp. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Did you have something on?
No, I was just gonna make that second, but
I'm sorry.
no, that's all right.
Board appointment committee updates. Anybody want to share any other committees that they're pointing to?
I have one, Mr. Chairman. I have a director's report from, the transit on the July meeting. Ridership for June was 5,036. It's the highest ridership that they've had since June 2019. Pre-COVID was 5,374. A 6 months ridership, January 2025 through June 2025 was 27,962. This is up 320 rides from 2024. They are currently working on evaluating and making changes to 2 of their deviated fixed routes. These changes will include adding additional bus stops to services at new housing developments that have been built and businesses that have moved. Our public hearing for the changes onto these routes will be Thursday, October 14th at 12:30 at the transit office in the boardroom. We hope that these changes will not only increase our ridership, but increase access to the transit without having to call and schedule rides. We're in the process of placing bus stop signs and all the route stops. These will provide clarity where passengers should be waiting for the transit. We will be working on various businesses to coordinate placement, and we have all the stops marked new professional signs by September 1st. That ends that report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
I have one more.
Yes, go ahead.
Saturday, I will be attending the Northern Lakes Waters Library Board of Directors meeting in Ashland. And I won't bring back reports because I believe the committee gets reports from the director up there. So I will be attending that Saturday. That's all.
Thank you.
I'd like to bring to your attention the results of the Celebrate Your Library. The Sherman Rice Library had on June 14th. We had music, games, crafts, garage sale, auction, raffle items, and we profited a little over $3,800.
Good job. Thank you.
How often does the transit company review the fees?
What's that?
How often does the transit company review their fees?
Probably yearly. You mean the fees of the ridership? The board does. The board. With the approval, that's submitted by the director, the manager.
Mr. Regan.
Just real quick, it's always packed, so maybe now we don't need to announce it, but Twin Tap is holding the annual fundraiser for the Sawyer County Sheriff's Department. It's good food there, and they'll be auctioning things off, so come out and support Sheriff's Department. Tomorrow, I think it starts at,
Saturday.
or Saturday,
Saturday noon.
a
to
week
7.
over for me.
Saturday noon.
Steve, did you have something?
Monday next week, I've got 2 meetings down at Ladysmith. We've got our strategic planning committee, and then that's followed by the executive committee. I did get a message from Skylar up at SEP here about a week ago, basically saying that things are starting to turn around a little bit there. It's looking a little more favorable. So they're all basically moving from survival mode to growing their services a little bit. So that was encouraging.
So that means that we made a good choice when we put you on that committee to move it forward.
By all means.
Okay, thank you.
Pardon?
Pardon? Yeah.
Oh, so there was a few of us that went on a ride on Tuesday with John Pino. He did a great job. Did I say his name wrong? Pino. If he's listening, Pino, sorry. And he did a great job giving us a tour of the county roads. And I thought, and then the estimated dates of when those roads will be completed. So if you need that, it's on the Wisconsin website. Otherwise, Mr. Pino can give you that information. But next time, if he offers it, I encourage all of you that are able to go.
Thank you. And as Mr. Duffy said, the Lumberjack Bowls this weekend, and also so is the powwow. Okay. Anybody have anything else? Thank you for your valuable time. Meeting adjourned.